All right, so, ooh, that was loud. To call to order the special session. I'm looking for my, I didn't have my agenda with me, which is a very small agenda. Let me get it real quick. No, it's not the agenda, hang on. To call this, it's a special meeting. Oh, call the special meeting to order. The idea of this meeting is to talk about what we think the key issues are for the town. Okay, we are starting a strategic planning workshop discussion, which everybody knows I tried to start 6 months ago. Talk about goals, and then I think the difference in what we want to do in this one is a little bit more simplistic, which is in the past, in the normal board meetings, we're not really supposed to have a give and take with everybody. The idea behind this one is to get public input from you all, because we're going to go to it's not really a retreat. We're driving to New Bern for a session about strategic planning to put together a plan. And in the meantime, we've also hired a financial person, which is Mr. Carter, who did all of our financial planning before, to expedite that. So the idea today is to, and Connie's going to lead the discussion about what goals and strategy and things like that we should employ, and then to get input from you, and to remind everybody, and I think Connie talked about this before, is this is step one. The idea is to get input from you all, number one, and from the board, and two is understand this is the start of a process. We're going to have another meeting, and then we'll have planning workshops and budget meetings. So with that, I'm going to turn it over. Go ahead.
So just to be clear, the training that the board is going to next week is offered by the North Carolina League of Municipalities. So we're getting, it's the first time the whole board's going to get strategic planning training.
In this structure. A number of them have done it before. So with that, Connie.
All right. Ricky, would you put up the PowerPoint, please? So the purpose of this workshop is we are planning for our municipal strategic planning session in New Bern next week. Getting some input from the citizens as well as the board. That way we are not spinning our wheels while we're up there or spending a lot of time just trying to think about, okay, what are, oh.
The pizza's here. Do you want to offer it to everybody that's here?
Yeah, do you want to do
That's
that
for
first?
everybody. My wife ordered that to be delivered. So help yourself if people would like some pizza.
Yeah, there's pizza. This is very informal.
Yes.
Like Rick said,
And the town's not paying for it. My wife paid for it. So.
this is back and forth, so don't feel like
Right.
you know, you're all part of this. Ricky, if you would go to the next one, please.
And it's tofu. I know everybody likes tofu.
Okay, so like I said, to make the best use of our time and to also make sure that the facilitators up there, that we're not asking them questions and stuff that we've already been over. And then when we are up there, that's not going to be a budget session. That's not going to be where we're figuring out everything for the town. It's really focusing on the priorities, planning for the future. When we're done up there, and like they said, that'll be 2 days next week, we will come back to the citizens. We'll have more meetings, figure out the strategic plan we want so that we can go forward in the way that the townspeople want us to go forward. We're just representatives. We're representing y'all. We're not, you know, whatever Connie wants isn't always the right thing. It's what y'all want. And then every year, we should, at budget time, we should go through this with the citizens and make any changes that we feel need.
Document.
Yeah, it's a living document. Next page, please. Okay, so when we get up there, the first thing that they are going to do, and I have gone over their agenda, plus I've gone over the strategic plans that they've helped other municipalities make. I've gone over quite a few. One of the first things that they want to do is have you make a vision statement and a mission statement. We already have some. We could fix them, change them, alter them in any way, but For right now, ours are pretty good, especially compared to, I don't want to say compared to everybody else's, but they're not, like Surf City's mission is every day to make Surf City a better place to live and a better place to visit. That's theirs. Pine Knoll Shores, their mission statement is, it's the mission of the town of Pine Knoll Shores to provide a concerted and friendly means of promoting health, safety, and social well-being by developing and implementing plans for the continuous improvement of the town and by encouraging the position of the residents of the town and community and utilizing best practice communication tools and fiscal responsibility policies.
Can I add something? In talking to this, I appreciate Connie putting this together. What she said to me, which I 100% agree with, we've got a mission and vision statement right there, and they're kind of the huggy things. The focus here is we've got the reval coming up, we've got a budget coming up, and everything else is to focus on the strategic plan, on the dollars and things like that. We've also got a number of new aldermen, and so that have been here for a couple of months. So rather than spending a day creating this type of stuff, because this is going to be a document, and that's what Connie said to me. Look, we got to give the new people a chance to get their feet on the ground with this and get some more input, but to focus on the stuff, you know, as I like to say, the money issues, which is the planning, which is the strategic planning, and where we're going to spend our money and what your priorities are versus just a mission statement. Is that fair?
Exactly, yes. And there's nothing wrong, especially when I've looked at, I think I looked at like 14 different communities. Our mission statement and our vision goes right in, is set up the same way as many municipalities. Ours is not bad. It was created in a strategic workshop, a strategic planning workshop by the Board of Aldermen in 2016. So it is 10 years old, but it's still pretty good. North Topsail Beach will provide its residents and visitors an enhanced quality of life by protecting the natural environment and enhancing its tranquil beauty, maintaining a family-friendly atmosphere, and providing recreational opportunities. And the vision follows along that same line. And you know, when you look at it, like Rick said, it is kind of huggy, but I feel like it is really good that we do follow that. Our vision is the Board of North Topsail Beach will work to preserve the natural beauty of the town in harmony with balanced growth. As a diverse coastal community, North Topsail Beach will protect the shorelines in our natural habitat, enhance recreational amenities, manage sustainable development in accordance with existing land use plans, provide highly competent staff to ensure excellent customer service to citizens and visitors, and provide fiscal management of the town's funds. Those are all pretty good goals.
They are.
Yep. Next, please, Ricky. So when we get to New Bern, we will be expected to follow basically an outline. Unless they do something different, this is how they've done it for years, and looking at their agenda, this is how it's going to be. So what we are going to be asked to do, and what we would like input from the citizens is, we will be asked to look for about 4 or 5 focus areas to really look at. I threw out some on there just following what other coastal communities have used. We don't have like a thriving business area or other things that didn't pertain to us.
No offense, Mark.
Sorry, Mark. We have one little place. But I threw out some, and none of these are set in stone. We will come back. We've got growth in natural resources, infrastructure, organizational excellence, safe and vibrant, healthy community, as well as cultural resources and recreation. Under each topic, we are supposed to come up with a couple objectives and then a couple initiatives. And again, today we're just stepping our toe in, putting out some ideas, because once we get up to New Bern, they can help us fill them out more, flesh it all out, and we'll bring it back to y'all and see what needs to be changed, and how we want to move forward from there. Okay, next slide, please. Which is the last one, don't worry. So I did not reinvent the wheel on this stuff. Like I said, I looked at so many different municipalities. They all have their little graphics and everything, so I stole a lot of their verbiage and their graphics, and this is just basically how it all comes down. You have your mission statement, your focus areas, your objectives and goals, your initiatives and strategic actions, and then it just doesn't end there, because you just can't say, oh, this would be good to do. We have to put them into place so that we can make sure that we can budget it and work hand in hand with the town manager and her with the staff, so that things can be implemented throughout the years. Okay, so now that we know where we are, let's go back and look at our focus areas. How did everyone like growth and natural resources? Is that something that is that how, would you like that as part of your?
Why don't you define what you mean by each one of these as you go through? I think that would be helpful.
Okay, with your growth and natural resources, what we're talking about there is, we're talking about our beach, and we're also talking about our land use plans, making sure that everything coincides together. Our beach, of course, beach nourishment, dune pushes, anything like that. How we want to go forward with each of those. The next one I have down is infrastructure, which kind of dovetails, but it's also with ONWASA.
Right.
I feel like we've been moving along pretty well with that, but our roads, bike path, anything like that. Buildings, all that. Organizational excellence, that's your
Would infrastructure also be the bike path, because that's
Yes.
been raised, okay.
Yep. Organizational excellence, that's the way that the town's set up, where we have a manager-led form of government. We have, so we have the manager and her staff, and we have the board, and we have committees, so we want to make sure that we're providing everything that the town would like.
And respecting there's statutory issues relating to the structure of our town as well. There's defined duties for the town manager that are established by statute. And so respecting those type of things and getting people to understand what those things is a part of that too, right?
Yep. And also making sure that we are communicating well with the citizens. Are there ways that we could be doing it better? For safe and vibrant, healthy community, that's pretty self-explanatory. It's a lot to do with the police, the fire, rescue, how we're doing with that, what they need, how we can help them, what the citizens would like, anything else that you can think of that would be part of that. And then, of course, our cultural resources and recreation. So we do have, obviously, a really great cultural resource in Ocean City. So we help them with the jazz festival. Could we do more? Could we help them more? Is there more that we need to do culturally? That's something that we should probably think about. Recreation is another one. We need to get a Parks and Rec up and going again. We have some fantastic opportunities for the citizens and visitors. We have the Halloween event, the Christmas event. We have hurricane forums and stuff. So we just need to look at these things. Is there anything that anybody else would like to add to that focus area to look at?
Let me just add a couple of things here. The idea behind this, and Connie alluded to it a little bit, is there's a two-step process in this. It's what's important to us, and then it's what can we afford. And we're bringing in Doug Carter, who actually, our financial advisor, will be with us in New Bern to give us some guidance on those things. Because you can have priorities, but it may come down to what can you afford, what can we pay for, And he is putting together a 5-year forecast for us in terms of expenses, in terms of revenue, and those type of things, which will get tied back to these kind of issues. So if we decide, oh, we'd want to build a marina, a roller coaster thing, we might say, well, that might be somebody's idea of an issue, but it's going to be $10 million and it's a lower priority. That's what this process is about, is how are we going to spend the money, but understanding what your priorities are, is where that starts.
This is a meeting where you all have input, so I know we're talking, but does anybody want to go to the podium and share on those areas, what they think some priorities might be?
So just one question. Is that where you want to go with this? I've asked Connie to kind of run this.
Yes,
because-
exactly. This is the next step.
Yeah, because I don't
Okay.
want you guys to sit there and think, oh, we got to do it as formally as the regular board meeting. If you want to get on the record of saying, hey,
Perfect.
let's look at this, come up to the podium.
Yeah, this is more brainstorming.
It's
Right.
So if you can scroll down to the top of your list, or where it says, for the infrastructure, don't forget Jones Onslow. So Jones Onslow
Yes.
on WASA, Plurus, NCDOT.
Okay, so expand on that. When you say Jones Onslow, what particular areas of concern do you have there?
The construction of power lines, and also maintenance. That would also tie into the safe, vibrant, healthy community. If you're talking about making repairs after a storm to lines, things like that, you'll find that whenever you go through this, a lot of these are going to be dovetailing with each other. But specifically, whenever you think about infrastructure, you're thinking about water, sewer, electricity, roads, and our relationship with NCDOT and trying to get projects done that are within the right-of-way. Sidewalks, for example. I would consider crosswalks more in the natural resources in the built environments. And when we talk about growth and natural resources, of course, we're bounded on the southern side by the Surf City boundary and by the bridge and North Carolina general statutes. Sneads Ferry on the other side. But there's also, when you think about growth, you may also think about density. And, of course, that's where your zoning tools come into play. Organizational excellence, please consider the review and update of the plans that have already been done, like the CAMA land use plan that was adopted as the comprehensive plan. Within that CAMA land use plan, there was also a survey done that was several years ago, but if you did it again, chances are you'd get the same input from your citizenry as far as their priorities. So that might that might be worth, taking a glance at to see, are those still their concerns? Because there's 10 pages in there of a survey response, okay? Safe, vibrant, healthy community. Are we prepared for floods? Our building, go back to organizational excellent, building codes, if I didn't say that already. Building codes, UDO, how well are we enforcing the standards that this boards before you have adopted? If we don't enforce them and it's just paper, then let's skip on down to safe, vibrant, healthy communities. Okay, so what do our citizens feel to be in a safe, vibrant, healthy community? We've got some examples on the national news where an 84-year-old probably thought she was in a safe, vibrant, and healthy community, and today her family does not have that same thought. So, safe, vibrant, healthy communities, cultural resources and recreation. Granted, Ocean City is the crown jewel, but what are some of the other cultural resources that we have? You have the ORW with the world's premium oyster bed, right? So there's, I think that we can think outside of the box and think of some other cultural resources that we have that are specific to this island, this town, and what we share with both tops of each Surf City and Sneed's Ferry, as well as us being in the Keystone. So, thank you.
Just back to infrastructure, just so people understand where I've come out on this. I'm on the Onwassa board too. Okay, and two things. One is I've been pushing for, let's not worry so much about growth as repairing the systems. And if you look around, you're gonna see Onwassa trucks are everywhere on the island right now. We're their big focus. But it's also true with Jones, and it's also true with the county. This issue about managed growth, because you're building things at at 2026 costs. And we're gonna do that on Wassa to figure out, if you build this infrastructure, what does it do to rates? All right, what are we able to do? And that's true on the electric side, that's true on the gas side, on the water side and Plurus, because none of that infrastructure is here, okay? And the county is dealing with schools. And so I think the whole idea of managed growth, and I don't know what that means, Deb, you're much more involved in that, but that is an issue that is trying to be addressed basically by every community around here. But in particular, on Wassa's looking at it, I don't know because I'm not on Jones' board, but I can tell you the county is very focused on trying to figure that out, because you can't build a house if you don't have the infrastructure to support it, so.
Also, when you think about when you talk about managed growth, look at the impact that the housing demand and the construction community's response has done to the traffic in the roadways between here and Wilmington, or here in Jacksonville even, but, specifically Hampstead. So every single one of these, you could take a piece of and write a PhD dissertation on it, depending on how in-depth and how committed you are to weaving your policies and including your policies in with each one of these items.
But I think you make a really good point, that that I would like us to consider as part of this is cooperation with county. What other type of, I'm gonna use the wrong term, shared services, what's out there where we can save our citizens money, where we can plan things together? And I can tell you, having spent a lot of time with Tim and the chairman and those people, they're very open to working with us and other communities to find out what we can do together, because they've got, people don't realize, I think it's 84% of their budget is fixed by law. They have very little flexibility in their budget because of the school situation, and they're talking almost $400 million worth of schools that are gonna have to be built going forward. So, anyway, those are really good points to make, Deb, thanks.
Thank you, Deb. Also, with that infrastructure, we need to do I don't know if it's Bright Speed that's doing the cable lines. I know Beach Access 1, some citizens have pointed out to me, there's like 4 lines run straight across there. There's a trip hazard. They're running them all the way down the sand. They're not burying them correctly. They're running them around vehicles, and people are cutting lines left and right, so we need to keep an eye on that as well.
Okay, y'all. Fred Fontana, 1866 New River Inlet. Y'all have mentioned a lot of it. Obviously, the beach protection, the dunes protection, that's our bread and butter. That's got to be number one on anybody's list. But I heard Connie also mention enhancing recreational opportunities, and this is where the bike lanes come in. I mean, a couple years ago when I was on the board, we met with DOT. They gave us a couple of estimates. I think we were proceeding fairly well. They had even approached CAMA as far as seeing how far CAMA would allow the bikeways to go. We have not, I'm sure CAMA told DOT something. We have not seen what that response was. I think that's something the board needs to get an answer to. But I don't want to see that dropped, and I'm glad to hear that several of you mentioned it, because it appeared on, I think, on Deb's survey that in the plan that she cited, also talked about bike lanes. The other item that I haven't heard, and I just thought about it now, is AI and cybersecurity. I know on WASA and Joe EMC probably involved, but I think the town needs to make sure that we're in the loop, because I think AI and cybersecurity is going to be a major issue that needs to be at least identified and addressed in whatever strategic plan you come up with.
Fred, taking along the bike lanes, I know that the town still owns some lots too. And one of the things is I'd like to see, you know, us look at parks again. Because on the south side of town, like, we don't have any town parks at all. And so
I
I
agree.
think if we get a Parks and Rec committee together again, we need to look at what land we currently have. Is any of it available to make some like mini parks or something, or a park course or something? You know, but while we're looking at bike lanes, I'd also
I mean,
like
even
to-
something as simple as mini golf. I mean, that's real popular in most tourist places. I know a lot of people, you know, don't think
you
of
know,
it,
or a
but
frisbee golf thing or something.
something
Yeah, or a
along
dog
those lines
park.
that doesn't
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
up that much room and it's something to consider.
Well, I
But-
had on my list from people back during the election that they want to look at a pickleball, converting
Yeah.
one of the tennis
Courts to
things.
pickleball.
Absolutely.
And I'm just saying, we talked about Parks and Rec, and Connie and I have talked about this a lot, is the bike lanes have to be on there. I know you want to be involved in that, so the bike lanes and all that kind of stuff. And it goes back to Kip or Laura made a comment, or maybe you did, about Ocean City. Kip is gonna be making a presentation on Monday at the county meeting, so that we can try to get that and get their support behind that as well. But that's the kind of cooperative stuff. I mean, look, my view on the county is all they can say is no, right? And right now, they got $1.5 million going in the beach, they got $150,000 they give us for our beaches every year. Just keep it coming. I mean, every dollar we do that way is a dollar we don't have to get from the people that live here, so. Kip, did you want to add anything on Ocean City?
I would like to hear from those of you that showed up for the meeting,
Is-
you know?
Also,
Come
while
up.
we're on Parks and Rec,
first.
look at dog park with the leash laws. You know, we have annual leash laws, so a lot of people are looking for dog park.
Yeah,
Yes,
and I
sir.
would love to know
Would you hit
that
the button?
any of the land we have to be able to utilize it for our citizens, just not let it sit there.
Well, not just that, but if you've got enough of it, you might be able to swap it for a bigger lot to be able to do those things. If you got 5 little ones, you might be able to get one big one out of it.
Let's let him talk.
Okay, I'm Boyd Wright. I own property at 1409, 1411 New River Road. And I was wondering what your decision was today on Walkover 40. We weren't at the board meeting. It was a beach crossover, Old 40.
Yeah, that's what we just approved.
You did approve
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Okay, great, because we wanted to, but here's another thing. When you talk to the county, we have so many houses up there along that stretch, and there's absolutely no reason why it's a passing zone. And it's amazing. It doesn't cost the county anything to point out that we have hundreds of people living on both that side of the road. All they have to do is change it to no passing.
Let me tell you something I learned from going to county meetings. If you say roads, their response is, we do not maintain roads. That's a state highway. They will do, I mean,
Okay.
you might as well say poison in front of those people, because they have so many people about these abandoned roads that they
Yeah.
want the county to take over, and the county's like, we don't have the money to take this stuff over. They won't touch roads. It's a good question for DOT, and we've actually talked to them about the speed
Right.
limit before. So it's a good point.
Well, our neighbors were talking about going out and painting double lines down the road, if you don't mind.
No, yeah, what I like is a little speed thing, because if you do the flashing stuff, everybody slows
Yeah.
down regardless.
You know, you guys really ought to buy a speed camera along the road, and we have those up in Baltimore. And,
I'm not sure those are technically legal in
Actually-
North Carolina.
I'd shoot the tires out, but I don't
all
think
right,
that
well then,
works.
speed bumps. How about ones that'll fix the
Well,
tractors
the
that
problem
are
is,
going down the
you
road?
know, on state roads, we can't do things.
That's right, that's
You know,
right.
so-
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Did you have any other
anything
concerns
else,
or
Renee?
any other focus that you'd like the town to focus on?
I'm not organized. I have a lot of other concerns.
But you know, you can write to us, you can email us,
Yeah,
or
we've
we'll
been
be
in
having
touch
more
with-
meetings.
We've been in touch with Deb. I was very much in touch with Dan Tooman when he was here. So I go a long way back. But thank you.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate it.
No, we got 3 of us. Yes, we're 3 of us.
Perfect.
Okay, you know, listening today to everything, I'm not sure that we have the right focus, but we'll be quick. Okay, first of all, we are all residents of North Topsail Beach. My name is Liz Beckingham. I live at Shipwatch Villas.
I'm Kim Harrell, and I'm a resident of Shipwatch Villas.
Joanne Bedell, and same, Shipwatch.
And why we are here is because just recently we had our fire inspection and we failed. And Chad has been wonderful to us. He has been available to us. He has tried to explain things to us, and he's been great. But the reality is we failed. And the thing is that most of us have lived there for a number of years, and many people even longer than us. And we had always been told that if we allowed 36 inches between the wall and whatever we had on the other side of the wall, that we would be okay, that was the state statute. Well, it appears that's not North Topsail Beach's ordinance. And in our hallways, they're approximately 20 feet long. They are 68 inches wide. And then you come to the door that is 36 inches wide. And so in the past, people have stored things there. They've had storage sheds, not sheds, but, storage things, and surfboards and stuff like that. But for the most part, I think that it did allow for access into the condo itself. But now we're being told essentially we have to remove everything, and you can imagine what the thing is. A lot of people have decorated their halls. A lot of people, like surfers and stuff, have hung their surfboards, and now we're being told we need to take that all down. Anyway, when we looked at the state statutes, they're a little bit more flexible than they are in North Topsail Beach. And we were wondering, to still maintain safety, if we could maybe look at some flexibility by looking at the state statutes to see if maybe we could allow some of these things. The other thing is that this poses a problem for us as the homeowners association to try and monitor all of this, not only with people who live there, but the renters. And then we're asking now for, if you are an owner, renter, you have to monitor. If you use a realty company, they have to monitor. It's just going to go on. And over at the dunes next to us, they already had this, already done this and everything else. And from what I know, very little probably, but just from people I know over there, they say it's a nightmare. So anyway, we were just kind of thinking that we want things to be safe. We want, the fire department to be able to get in there, the police, EMS and everything else. But is there some flexibility there so that we could still allow residents and others to store their surfboards, their chairs, and some of their equipment without imposing past 36 inches, and maybe we even go to, say, 40 inches or something like that. So anyway, that's why we're here.
So just, go ahead.
Oh,
It's your meeting.
that does fall under our safe and vibrant communities, and you've been working with Chad. And I think that is something that we could be looking at.
I would kick it to Alice and Chad to come back and see if that's something.
Yeah, look at,
The only thing I wouldn't want to do, and I would leave it to the professionals, is we
Yes.
want to make sure there's no fire hazards.
Yeah,
which you
it
guys
has
are
to
taking.
be-
And same thing, when you look at the ordinance, it says no trash, no, boxes and stuff like that, and we agree with all of that stuff. It's just that I think there's probably some balance there that we could reach that would keep people kind of happy and be able to store things, outside.
Yeah.
And at the same time, maintain a level of safety.
Well, I'm going to comment on this
Yeah,
a
it's an
little bit.
extension of our home.
Yeah.
It is an extension of your
Yeah.
home, and boards and towns are coming under scrutiny for having ordinances that are more stringent than the state ordinances. So I think this also would be one that the town would have to take to our legal counsel
Okay.
as well to take a look
Yeah.
at. Because there have been challenges at the state level now where
Sure.
towns are overreaching. So I think you bring up a good point, but I do think our legal counsel will have to
Okay.
advise.
Well, that's
Yeah, I mean,
a-
I'm not getting the statutory,
great
the town can always be
start.
more restrictive, and I think the fire chief,
Yes.
because I know that's true of the beaches.
Yeah.
And when I talked to the Camet people, their answer was, that's the starting point, you can do more than that. And I think I would kick it to Alice and the fire chief and
yeah.
attorney to give us some advice
Yeah.
on it. I don't think anybody's opposed to it, I just
Yeah.
don't know enough
I think
about
there's
it.
probably some reasonable balance that keeps everybody happy, and right now it does seem a little bit stringent. And like I said, it's gonna cause, it's causing problems already, and it probably will
Thank you.
continue. Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
ladies.
Is there,
Thank you
is
so
there,
much for your time.
Yes.
oh,
thank you.
is there anything else? Is there any other focuses
I like the
you?
bike path. Would
Yeah,
you like that?
Okay, let me put that down under
I
there.
want to keep my surfboard. I want to keep my surfboard.
just grab-
I'm being told I
grab
have to
Fon-
throw it away
yeah,
and
grab-
get rid
grab-
of it.
Grab Fontana, because he wants to get on he's gonna get on the Parks and Rec thing, because he is a pit bull in dealing with that kind of stuff, and he was before. So he's been a pit bull on me to make sure we start moving the bike paths.
Would the bike path also serve as a walking path?
Could be.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I would
It's
like that.
basically would be, yeah.
But the fact that you all showed up shows you have interest in the town, so I would encourage you to come to the meetings or volunteer for one of the boards or something, because we're always
Nice.
looking for
Okay.
people.
Nice,
And
nice little plug there.
That's right.
Yeah.
And on the bike path, and again, I'm in favor of pursuing it. But the funniest comment that I heard on the bike path, and I'm not kidding you, was somebody wrote in and says, but if you put a bike path in, people ride their bikes on it. And I was like, but they're already riding their bikes in the street. So you never know what comments you're gonna get. But if you're in favor of that, and you are,
We are.
make sure you let us know, because it's a very interesting project, and that's a guy you can talk to back there.
Well, you could be on the committee with Fred.
That's right. Parks and Rec is looking for people, so here's the chairman right here.
Okay.
So it's
Thank
been
you
kind of
very
a,
much.
it's
Appreciate
been
it.
kind of a dormant committee, but it will be starting back up, and we will be advertising it, and
It's not a doormat.
but really, talk to your friends and neighbors, because we want input.
Feedback,
Yeah, this isn't just our community, we're here to represent everyone.
Now it's afternoon, so good afternoon, Sam Ferrari, 148 Seagull. I'm going to talk or ask in more generalities. I think the categories you have here are great. From my past experience in doing these plans, I think getting early buy-in to ranking these to which one is the highest, and then subcategorizing under, because to get to the budget, you're going to need to basically rank these. So
Our discussion before, and that's why I was pushing for this 6 months ago, because
right.
don't have it, right?
Or don't spend it if it's not a priority.
Exactly.
Correct.
So a couple things from only living here now about 6 months. The beach, that's the asset that we have, and the safety to and from the beach, the access points. What I've noticed, and trying to be a bike rider now, I think I have a friend in Fred, so I didn't. It's important, but it's dangerous. Living on the north end, you take your life in your hands until you get down to the sidewalk at the park, and that's 3 miles from where I live. So I think that falls under that safe and vibrant. But I think as a group, we need to determine what is that. Is it a multi-purpose path? What are the regulations? What is CAMA? What are they going to allow? What aren't they going to allow? And then, other public safety issues, safety of all the residents, access to the residents. I've witnessed in my short 6 months several emergency calls where getting the paramedics up the stairs to somebody's house and then getting them down the stairs to an ambulance. It's critical to an aging population, so I think some of those assets that may need to be attained, even though I know we don't do transport, it's important for our paramedics that have to help in that and do all of that. So, but I think there's some other things with, I know most of the roads aren't ours, but there are a few of the roads that are ours, and under infrastructure, I would urge that when we get to these general meetings, after you go to your workshop and get the framework, that you invite the county, you invite the electric, you invite UNWASA. They're planning people to come so they can tell us and we can meld into that plan.
I actually have an invitation. I've talked to the county manager about having their planning director come down and talk to us again. Okay, and to have them present what they're talking about. Because the other thing that's scary, this a couple of meetings ago, Onslow County, according to their planning people, are at least 12,000 housing units short this year, which means the construction ain't stopping. And they've got real infrastructure problems as well. So I think, and when you get him down here to talk about not just the stuff you're seeing, that's like 10% of what's planned out there, and it's pretty amazing as to how much is going on. But it's a very good, like I said, we kicked him one because I wanted to have this meeting first, but we're gonna get the planning director down here.
But for example, like the bike path, as they're building, if you come up with a plan and you got a standard, as they're building out lots, make it a requirement, they gotta build their little segment. It'll look like a hodgepodge at the beginning, but eventually, you can fill it in, for those existing, you can budget that and fill it in over time. But that's a pretty quick way. And there's also grants, once you start one, there are a lot of grants if you've got a plan started to finish it.
Well, we've actually started the process with the bike paths. Actually, Fred was a real mover and shaker with this. And we've paid our $100,000. But it's also goes through, so CAMA also has to approve everything. So how the bike path would run at this point would be more of the share the road. It would not be its own dedicated path. It would be just like in the south. So the north part of the town and the south part of the town would be equal, where it's a 4-foot section on each side. I know that a lot of people that live in the northern section of town saw the CAMA signs out last, was it last?
A year ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was it last spring?
It's been at least a year, yeah, it's been at least a year.
Yeah, because we had, so the ball is rolling on that, albeit very slowly. But if we can push it in, because
Parks and Rec.
we've got DOT and we've got CAMA,
Right.
and it's just,
Right.
If I
Just,
could
you know,
just weigh in for
go
a
ahead.
minute,
Yeah,
just
go ahead,
to
yes.
give an update if anyone's interested.
Yes, that's what I'm gonna ask.
The DOT, which I've been in communication with, as you know, we have a memorandum of understanding with the DOT where we started this project to do a bike lane. It's been under study. They have completed the environmental review. As Connie mentioned, there was CAMA signs at one point. So they have finished that process. The current numbers that I have from them that would be discussed at budget time is a little over $10 million. That is completely on us. They do not have any identified funding for this project, so it would be a complete reimbursement of the $10 million. So those numbers have all been, I have all that information that was being prepared for the budget when we get to that. So it's at $10 million, a little over $10 million.
Right, but go back to, when we started this, it was a resurfacing project that we were gonna do the additions, and they were talking, Fred, million?
It was like $3 million for our share, because there was no right of way, and we were just gonna pay for the 4-foot width, because they would have to resurface, and they were gonna pay for the resurfacing.
Right, and now Alice is telling us it's all on us if we wanna do a bike
Correct,
path.
yes.
Are they not gonna resurface New River Inlet Road?
They have said that they have no identified funding at this time.
Okay. So I don't want to take up
So
too much.
this is,
Go ahead,
yeah,
I'm
this
sorry.
is all information that, you know, I've been working on for the budget, because this is something that of course, the board will need to, we have been putting in our budget each year for what they have been conveying to us, what would be our share, like Fred just mentioned. It was in the $3 million range. That was on our 5-year plan, the CIP plan that I provided the board 4 years ago, that's been updated. It was at 3 million. Now we're gonna be at, a little over 10 million.
Okay.
Fred?
So my last comment is really how do you reach out to the citizens through this process? And my past experiences is using surveys to, like somebody said, pickleball courts before. List 5 or 6 recreation things, see what the majority of the people want, because then you've got the backing. So when you have to budget it, or find a fund to do it, you have the support.
You can send the clerk door to door.
The clerk door to door.
Or 3 volunteers.
While we're on this bike lane, and it seems to be such a big topic, I would like to use a plug as far as safety. I've talked with some other aldermen. Please remember to wear high visibility clothing if you can. Please know which side of the road to ride your bike, which side of the road to walk on. It is a road, it is not Virginia Beach Ocean Trail. Please be safe. We know there's rocks on the side of the road and you have to go over into the middle of the lane. Be aware of your surroundings, and please try to minimize walking with the sun to your back. So just be careful, guys.
Thank you.
You know, can I
Anybody
say
else?
something? I think real quickly, I'm gonna say that Fred, since Fred's been so big on this thing, we'll put your name on it, Fred, if you'll put it in. We'll call it the Fred Fontana Parkway or lane, bike lane.
Just need 10 million, is that all? I'll see what I got. I got like $10 in my pocket.
Curtis, 136 Seagull. Two major factors I think is we've glossed over a lot, we've talked about a lot, is definitely in this planning meeting, we've got to find a way to say this is what our town roads look like on a map, and this is a priority every year where we're going to fund each one of these roads in a 10-year period. The snow did a lot of damage. Every water that goes across roads is cracking roads. We've got to address that as a top priority. And like Alice said, New River Inlet Road needs to be paved. For everybody here, everybody should know this, DOT has a porthole too, for potholes, for the bridges, okay? It took nothing from me and some other people to put into Jason. And Jason came back and said, sorry, we ran out of material, we didn't get to the Peters Park, but we can't do it until it gets warm again. That's everybody in this room and everybody in this town can put that in. And the squeaky wheel gets the thing. The more of us that Jason tends to say, hey, I've seen enough of them, Curtis. Fine. But I'm sorry. By that time the asphalt gets over here, and a long story goes along with it. But the other one I want to talk about too is we've talked about for 2 years, Rusty Walker has, other people has, there's a very, very limited accesses to the beach in the north end. There is no parking except for one, and it's a very limited, and you still got to cross the road. We are a senior citizens living area, and just in that area up there alone, there's over 30 senior citizens living in that area that have to walk. We just had a bad accident on Folkestone the other day that took senior citizens for about a month to recuperate. She couldn't get to the beach. She has a golf cart, but she still couldn't get up to that beach. So we've got to look at options up there. We've got to find a place to have parking and maybe a bathroom. I think Dolphin Shores, if somebody would talk to them, maybe they would lease it for their tax they pay on every year. Mr. Fisher at one time had been approached before he passed away to buy that in lot and make it into a parking area. And it came down to a little argument, and we wouldn't clean the lot, was one of the agreements, and he backed out of it. So we've got to start looking, because like I said, we've got 16 brand new units plus the people on the other side. There's 30 people that we've got together and talked about this at different times. And we need that addressed, because the beach is what we come here for. The beach is where we want to walk at, not down the roads or something like that to get back. So we want to make sure that we look at accesses up there, parkable access, a bathroom access type, and we definitely need to have something that tells us this is what coastal and port and that is going to get paved this year, and this much money in the budget. Next year we're going to look at paving these, and it's going to take you 10 years probably to get all the way down the island and stuff. But we know it's got to be done. I mean, there's places that have got potholes almost as big as this right here in different lanes down there. So those are two issues I think we need to look at for people and longevity in the island. And like we talked about this summer, traffic's going to increase tremendously. Right? So those are two issues I wanted to make sure we address and look at in our future budget and stuff like that and planning.
Thank you.
Just to add to that, Alice has already talked to me about identifying the roads and trying to figure, that's going to be in the strategic plan.
Good.
Is because it's hard to know exactly what we have and don't have, and I think that's why she's been working on it. It's no different than the beach access thing. We found out, what do we own and what don't we own? Mm-hmm. And without good surveys, it's been a problem. So I know that she's on that issue, right?
Yes, our public works supervisor has been working and talking to a consultant where we plan on engaging to do a full assessment. Cause the intention was cause the town has never really addressed any roadways. And we know that's a concern, so the intent was to have some type of assessment in place so that we can have that discussion at budget time and say we need to allocate, so much
So
money
much for each, that's right.
per year for the roadway repairs, cause that, it just, like you said, hasn't been addressed
Yeah, like I
historically.
say, all of us are at the age, we live somewhere else, and we've watched our roads in 10 years in front of our house and stuff deteriorate, and if they don't have that cycle, you know.
And you know, this brings up a good point. There's a twofold purpose of these meetings. One is to find out what it is the community and the public want, to where we can begin to prioritize making plans for those things, and where's the money coming from? That's number one. Because we can't do everything that everybody wants to do, so we got to prioritize. We've got to prioritize those things and then start saying, well, what's it gonna cost? And then start putting together money for that. It may take several years to get to the point we want to go, but you gotta start somewhere. And I think that that's very critical, and that's one of the things that we've talked about as much as anything is the money. And part of our strategic planning is gonna be, okay, we've got the roads, we know the roads are deteriorating. We need to start laying so much money aside each year towards roads.
Exactly.
We need to set so much more money aside for infrastructure, water lines, different things that we have to do. Beach. And you know, we're one thing like with the beach renourishment, which is the number one thing, and you did say it is number one, because without a beach, North Knoxville's nothing. So, but you know, we do have a 5-year strategic plan that's in place now for the beach. And which is we're in the middle of, and because phases 5 and 4, they've already been made engineered beaches, and so now we're talking about doing phases 1, 2, and 3, the reaches up there, and if we can get all those done, then we will have engineered all those beaches, and that was part of our 5-year plan, and through grants and everything else to get that done. But right beside that, what we've not put much emphasis on is that we've also, Beach Inlet Sound Advisory has also been developing a 30-year maintenance plan. So when our engineers have not just been working on getting the beaches to where we want them to be, but then beyond that, we've got to maintain them. So we're gonna have to put aside so much money each year, and this isn't counting storms and hurricanes and all these things that come along. So, and I think the same thing exists. We realize that there's not been as much strategic planning as should have been.
Sure.
It's been by the seat of the pants, and I know that well because I've done that a lot in my life. But, so all the things that y'all are talking about that we would like to have, we know that everybody would like to have, and we want to try to prioritize which ones need to be done first and what can we do, and start putting together some money.
And what's
putting away
most
some
cost
money to be able
efficient.
to do that. And so all these ideas are great, and these are the kind of things we need to hear, even though we know it, because we need to know what the public, what's the priority for the public. We know the priorities for the town. We know we need to fix roads. We know we need to keep our water up. We know we need to keep our beach up. But all these other things, the only way we know these things sometimes is if somebody pushes us, because the manager and all her team, they're busy all the time just trying to put fires out.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing to point out, and Alice and I've talked about this, and I've talked to Larry about it, when you start doing longer-term planning, if you want a grant, you're not getting it tomorrow. So if you're looking for money out there, it can take you years to get that money, which means you better start asking for it now if you need it 3 years from now. And that's all part, if you don't do that planning, then what money do you have? And the answer is, that's why, and if you look at what Alice has been able to do since she's been town manager, look at Peters Park. That was a disaster before she became manager here, the stuff that's been done. So she's been cleaning up the mess, and now it's time to say, look, we've got a lot of projects in front of us. How much money do we have? What money can we access? All right, and what are our citizens' priorities?
Also, when you brought up the beach accesses, so that's something that we've been talking about. In fact, Laura brought it up today as well. We want to know where we have the excess properties, where we can build crossovers. Do we have enough room for parking?
right.
When I think of I live right down by you.
Exactly.
So when I think of where there used to be public crossovers, there used to be one at the north end of the reef, there used to be one at the south end of the reef, there used to be one at the north end, a public one at the, right across the fire hall, at the north end of the St. Regis. So there's different, in some cases, they've been destroyed by storms, and in other cases, we found out we did not own them, or they were, different property owners had let the town use them, but informally, and then when they sold. But this is something that is a very high priority and something that we are definitely 100% looking into.
And that one, I would like, I don't know what committee, if we needed one for that, but, the county owns some of the beach crossovers.
Exactly.
And so we've got to work with the county so that planned maintenance on those, the county is looking at. So they can't get decrepit and then it's a hazard before the county does something with their beach walkovers.
Well, that's what we're talking about, crosswalks.
Yeah.
One and two is owned by the county.
Right.
That should have been somebody on
Just,
there
you
that stood
know,
up and said, whoa, there's a safety problem there.
Just, I've had a discussion with them, and so has Alice. We're gonna see if they're gonna pay for those two crosswalks.
Good.
They've got I don't know if people remember this, from working with them, when Tim came in, we were talking to them, they're putting $1.5 million into stuff on this beach this year, which is cleaning up because, they haven't done a lot of maintenance on their stuff. But again, this goes back to collaborative agreements and relationship with them. We want them to, and Tim talked about it when he came here a couple of months ago, we want this to be a partnership with them. And as I remind them, and my wife told me I was being rude, when when David was doing a presentation about all the stuff going on the beach, I said, you mean North Topsail Beach, in the middle of his budget presentation? We're their beach, okay, and they know it, okay, and so, they work with us, I think, very well. They're gonna work with us even better in the future, but that's a partnership we need to keep developing because they've got the money. And I think in terms of their budget, certain revenues of theirs have to go into, it's not called Parks and Recreation, Alice, it's called something else, right? The fund that they use for this, it's a different fund, but they have to use it for like amusement or whatever it's called. It's basically that type of money. Like some of our money has to go for the beach or has to go for those type of things. And so we're gonna be asking for as much of that as we can possibly get.
But I want an easy place to see, and I've been provided, but I want it easier, like which ones are the counties, which ones are ours, and plan maintenance, because you do have to budget for these ahead of time
Exactly.
to do the replacements. So we want to make sure the county has a list too, and that on a planned maintenance schedule, they're going to replace them, just like we've been replacing ours. And so, I think a lot of this is, delayed maintenance that we need to be doing, but we've got to work with them, to Rick's point, so that they know we've got ours on a planned schedule and they can get theirs on a planned schedule, and then we know when things are getting redone, so everybody doesn't think we're not doing anything, and so they have been responsive, and certainly our department is contracted out for rebuilds on some of the beach crossover the dunes, but letting people know that so that everybody knows they're gonna be on a schedule to be done.
And to piggyback on the senior access, the mats are awesome.
Yep.
I was giving out waters for Real Housewives of Topsail Island, and it was so heartwarming to see a 60-year-old lady take her 85-year-old mother out to the beach. So if we have the budget in for that, I think we already are working on that, or we're not, but we need to keep that on our game plan, I hope.
Just one last thing, I know budget-wise and stuff like that, we've mentioned a long time ago, and I think everybody thought it was a great idea, and we see major output from it is your information signs. Remember, we talked about that. If we get one here and one there, I'm telling you, it controls the people on the beach. It definitely does.
I like the flashing lights.
Well,
Even if you put it, it's like.
but yeah, like I said, you have them up, you walk the beach, you see it happening. You take them down, you walk the beach.
The only bad part about that is
I was talking.
they only go by it so fast, only see the 2 or 3 things instead of the 100 things that we need to, I don't know that we need to put a pamphlet out for a lot of
Well,
the,
and I'd like to see
information.
an information sign at the south
I agree with you
end,
100%.
too.
And you,
Come
just
in
for the
this
parking
way.
lot up here, if you put that, like he's saying, you give you enough time to see that, and when you come on the island, your eyes are looking, and you see that big sign, and by the time you get to the parking lot, you've read all 5 things.
She just wants to have a sign that says, "You're not in Surf City, the highest tax rates on the island."
Is that what it is?
You're leaving Surf
Hey,
City.
Kent, we'll put the signs in your yard.
Just for the record, I think everybody knows this, we actually have the lowest tax rates on the island now, by far. Because Topsail and Surf City had huge increases in their property taxes this year.
Don't,
Thanks.
don't put the poor math on that. We don't know.
Real quick, I've held my comments. I've been writing down a lot of what everybody said, so I appreciate the feedback because that's exactly what we're here is to start this feedback, this two-way. To give you, again, some of my background, if you haven't heard, I was with the Arlington County Police Department and was dedicated to the strategic plan of the police department at the time with a $58 million budget. So I'm familiar with public safety type items. So the safe, vibrant, healthy community, I'll be ready to jump all in. Today's just a kickoff meeting, so we want to encourage you to reach out to your neighbors, reach out to your homeowners associations. I'd like to come to one of your association meetings, just to be able to communicate. So at the end of the meeting, come see me after the meeting, and we get the date, and we'll talk. But it's all about communication.
I gave you guys already, didn't I? Yeah, because I was gonna say, it's, I'm always available for HOA stuff too, so just, I'm not trying to take his thunder, I'm just telling you, as you guys know, I've done those, so.
But today's about the priorities of our citizens and our residents. When we go to New Bern next week, we're going to learn a little bit better on how to build this out so that it makes sense, so that it can be used, that it's usable. We'll also be who's accountable for it, right? Who's in charge of whatever initiative so that we can go to the chief, the interim chief, and say, hey, what's the status of this item in one of the focus areas? We talked about Ocean City a lot. Yes, the Jazz Festival is the biggest event that we have here in the town. We're doing more with the Halloween parade and photos with Santa, pet photos with Santa. But I'm looking at ways of trying to boost up the Jazz Festival, and I encourage anybody. I should have said it probably during the regular meeting, but I'll say it later. Go out to the Jazz Festival, come out and listen to the music, and feel the energy of the citizens that come to this. It brings strong economic growth for the county, which is why that they partner with us to an extent, and the town as well. And Carla, if you're watching, I'm sorry I didn't call you. She's the coordinator of the Jazz Festival. I meant to call her 2 days ago to kind of get some of her talking points.
Before you leave that, mention again, because everybody wasn't here, on Monday, you're going to be making
Yep.
some kind of presentation to the county.
So Monday, I'm speaking generally about Ocean City and much as I did during the regular meeting. One of the other things, just to throw it out there, is I've had discussions with Ken Chestnut, who owns that lot, as far as hosting other larger events there. And he's all for it on a case-by-case basis as long as it doesn't detract from the Jazz Festival. So if there comes a point that we can decide to host some sort of art festival or something, or who knows what, there are a lot of different options there. So I think that builds into our cultural resources and recreation. Constituents in our neighborhood talked about, and I briefly kind of discussed it, we talked about Ocean Drive. Obviously the flooding has kind of been addressed a little bit as far as mitigation for some of the flooding issues on some of the roads. And also, those of you that live right on beach dunes realize that sand blows and comes across the road and can really restrict access to especially passing vehicles, much less large fire trucks, ambulances, and stuff like that. But it becomes difficult to try and accommodate that. But that, again, is stuff that has been brought to me already from my constituents as far as, the infrastructure, stuff like that. And like I said, I'm looking forward to working with everybody and providing what knowledge I have as far as a strategic plan. I think it's a great opportunity for us to map out a good future for the town.
Let's go around. Mark, you want to add anything?
Biggest thing I want to add is thank everybody for coming out. It's been a long day for us, and we can't do it without you, and we're not here for us, we're here for you, so thank you.
I was going to go to Larry first, because if we can keep that short, then you can have as much time as you want, Laura.
You know, I feel like Rodney Dangerfield. In no respect.
And you earned it.
This is good. This is the first one of these that I've actually been a part of, even before I was on the board. But I think it's important, and maybe we need to think about, you know, encouraging input, you know, whether people are sending emails to us or whatever they're doing, the things that they think's got a priority. You know, we don't know what, we can sit up here and think what we believe the priorities are or what you want. But sometimes if you don't tell us, you know, we may be way off in left field, maybe what we want. So anytime that you tell your friends and, you know, send us information, come to our meetings and tell us what it is that you think is important. I mean, we know what's important financially, but we don't always know what you want recreationally and safety-wise and all those kind of things. So the more information you give us, the easier it's going to be for us to provide or try to provide what you'd like to have.
Connie, let's add to the list for Parks and Rec, additional kayak launches as well, you know, because we only have a couple.
And the ones we have are pretty great, so if we keep it on that, and
That's
they
her.
don't need as much, property as some, like,
Like a park.
yes,
Yeah.
they don't need a full park. They are pretty darn good.
Yeah. So I appreciate everybody who came out and those of you watching. You know, certainly strategic planning is something every town should do. In addition, it can't happen without the citizens. So we sit up here and we represent you, but you have to be able to talk to us and let us know what you want and come to the meetings. And I would encourage everybody to apply for those vacancies on the other boards as well. So thank you for coming out and participating.
Terry?
I'm gonna let, oh, you wanna say something, Terry? Did you bring cookies?
Sorry. I know, but I wasn't gonna walk up in front. Just something got me thinking with the safe and vibrant, healthy community. As someone having to call the fire department this past year, I really realized how much we really depend on them and our police. And I know it's nice being in a small community where you may know people, and I think it's very important for us to, the police department that we have and the people we have, that as citizens we know who they are and they know us. May not know your name, but recognize your face, and the same with the police. And I know we're trying to recruit people and get people to come here and employed, and I know we've been working on getting people and getting salaries and everything like that. But I think keeping the people we have and making them want to stay here and be part of our community is the best thing we can possibly do, because without them, our beaches, I mean, with the people, and we would all not be able to stay either. And I just think having to use them, it gave me another appreciation or a greater appreciation. And I think it has to be a focus of our town, is that we need to keep, they're the backbone, and we need to keep them and not let them go. So I want to keep our acting police chief. I want to keep everybody we have, and I want them happy and to stay, because I think they do a fantastic job, and we would have been really in trouble in June if it wasn't for the fire department. So that's all I wanted to say.
Terry, to echo what you said, as far as officer engagement, I can tell you when I wore the uniform and was out walking on the beach one day, not any enforcement action, just out schmoozing with people, I actually had people tell me, well, I don't think I've ever seen a cop get out of their car and talk to people. I agree. I think that's something that I'll expect from our new chief, as far as getting out and being very personable, so that there are, like you said, so that the officers, I think a lot of the officers, we know the full-time people. We see you around. Curtis, I ran into you one day when I was on patrol there, and we chatted there at the beach access when you were walking with some ladies. But you know, it's all about engagement, and absolutely that'll be one of the definite things as far as providing
I think it's a connection
a
and
safe
not having
well,
that
100%.
just
And we've
is a
also
Thank you.
talked about trying to do more outreach. You know, you got Kiss a Truck and stuff like that, so I think That's a good
I
point.
think it's touch a truck, not kiss a
I
truck.
like Kiss a Truck better.
The
The
other
chief
thing,
would not like kiss a truck.
But you're exactly right on that, because not only do we have the fire and the police, but during this, and all the first responders, but during the summertime, we also have the program with the beach program, and those beach ambassadors, they're pretty good too, and I think that, it's easy to take for granted our public safety, because they are, I don't even know, the words escape me.
safety.
They're public safety, they're invaluable, yeah.
All right, go
Well-
ahead, Laura, real quick, and we're gonna keep moving on.
you know, the one thing was, oh, wait a minute, I get one turn. So the one thing that all of us that are older have to keep in mind too, going into budget season, you know, is to not get freaked out over the amount of salaries it takes now. Because when we all started working, you know, the numbers were so different. And you do have to look at what other towns are paying, what people get paid for these jobs now. You know, I mean, I can remember starting as a GS5 back in 1982, making like 12.5, like, you know.
That's still good.
You know, the numbers don't equate anymore.
Yeah.
So when you guys see stuff in the budget and the numbers are higher, or we're asking for even more, you're like, yeah, but I worked for a lot less than that. It is a different world now. And so when we work budget, I think we've all got to keep in mind, we don't come up with those numbers without doing surveys of what
Yeah.
other people are getting paid.
Right, and that's Alice does it so go ahead, you got the microphone.
I just wanted to echo what Terry said. I had to call EMS on my husband at 4 o'clock in the morning a few weeks ago, and I'm telling you what, they were wonderful. But not only that, you know, you talk about community and knowing people. When Chad was talking to us about the fire things, he mentioned some things to me about chair lifts and lift assist, things that I didn't know. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, I have a community here. And that was really important to me, and maybe we ought to tell more people about things like that.
And that's a good point, because I remember, I think I asked you about that one time, like, we'll change the batteries in people's fire, you know, and stuff like that, stuff that I didn't know. So let me go real quick.
Anyway, I appreciate it.
All right, so, thanks, everybody. She's gonna sum up. I just wanna thank the three amigos for coming. No, everybody's, they already went. So thank you to three amigos for showing up and for volunteering for, I don't know which committees you guys have decided to sign up for, but just let Alexis know. So I'm gonna turn it over to Connie so we can get people out of here.
Okay, to sum it all up, we are going, it looks like we stayed with those 5 different focus areas. Underneath the focus areas, I wrote down everything that everybody talked about, so we have different objectives. So when we go to New Bern, we have our focus areas, we have our objectives, we'll put initiatives underneath that also, because everybody can have good ideas, but unless we have initiatives to put it in place, and of course a budget.
Structure, yep.
Structure and budget. And when it does, and again, this is not a budget workshop, but it does go hand in hand with it. We also realize that the median age in our town is 62. And those who live here, there are a lot of people that are on fixed incomes. Now, there's a lot of people that own property here that if increases come up, they can just raise their rent. Those of us who live here, we have to figure out a way to pay for it. We are very cognizant of that fact. We do
You're not
want,
planning on renting out rooms now, are you? Is that what that's about? You're
Well,
trying to
you
plug
know,
for that?
you know.
Sorry, go ahead.
But so as the budget season comes, we really want to look out for everybody. However, we also want to make sure that we are hiring people that are good people. The cheapest people are not always the best people, but we have your best interest in heart. We really do. I'm not talking like a politician. I'm talking as a citizen who's lived here for 30 years. We care about you guys. And anytime, like Kip said, if you think of something, you get home, you talk to your friends, your neighbors.
Send it to the clerk.
Send
We've
it.
got, we're trying to do the clerk so it's a central type of thing. So if you send it to me, I'm gonna send it to her anyway. So the best thing to do, that way nothing's getting filtered.
So even if it's just a simple comment or you got a paragraph, it doesn't matter. please send it in because we really want to do what
Oh,
you need
you
to
had
do.
your shot, unless it's 30 seconds or less.
No, I just, we had two citizens just walked in, and you made the effort to come here. If you wanted to speak on the strategic plan, we're really just wrapping up, but I didn't want to exclude you or give you an opportunity to speak on the strategic plan if that's why you came today.
Or put you on the spot. What we were doing was
I
just
know.
kind of
You don't have to. You can watch the recording.
We were here on another matter with the beach rejuvenation. They skipped our two houses for some reason, either above us, below us, so I wanted to talk to somebody to see if we could catch them. Like
Okay.
after the meeting.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
we were just kind of brainstorming about things that people would like to see in the town, what your priorities are. Do you want to talk about that, or you just want to talk to somebody afterwards? Okay.
So you don't like our program of skipping people's houses we don't like?
Okay.
No, now it's on the record, and people are going, we do not have a policy that skips houses because we don't like people.
So we,
So about a motion to adjourn?
yeah, so we will come back and have another meeting, after we've gone to New Bern. It'll be much more, put together, and then but that's still not gonna be set in stone, and we'll still take a lot of input.
Okay, motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn.
And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank